Hello and welcome to Let's Chat on the Disability Channel. I'm your host, Cynthia Stone, and with me today I'm so delighted to have Zubin Sethna. Now Zubin is somebody you might have seen a promo for. We are so delighted to have him. He is actually an amazing guy, and you're going to hear more about him, but definitely started off his entrepreneurial debut at age 19, moved on to big money at 20, and lost everything at 21. 22, he became a 3-time bestseller, and 23, financially free. Actually, I mixed those up. 23 was when he became the 3-time award-winning bestseller. Yep. Amazing. Now, this is a guy that you definitely want to hear from. He has so much wisdom to offer, and he's been through so much in such a short period of time. He definitely has a lot of insights for you to be able to make those moves and really set yourself financially free. Any constraints you might have, our viewers, myself, anyone and everyone can learn from him. So let's tune in and hear what he has to say right after this commercial break. Hello and welcome back, Zubin. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Now, I wanted to really talk to you about your journey. So a lot of people are like, well, who's this young guy? What can he possibly have to tell me about the ways of the world? But you have definitely defied the odds and overcome adversity. Now, I want to talk a little about your journey getting to where you are today.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, back in the day, you know.
And what day was that?
Right? No, but in all honesty, I mean, I started off into the entrepreneurial world when I was about 19. Yeah, I started off in a network marketing company, and everything was all fun and dandy. Just wanted to get my toes in the water and so on and so forth. And long story short, fast-tracked into it quite a bit. When you're in that environment, one thing that you really learn is demanding work. And on top of that, working for absolutely nothing, which is exactly what entrepreneurship was at the beginning, right? And that's what a lot of people just don't realize. And so being able to actually put that into play, at the same time making sure that I was completely selfless in the process, was a very, very, very difficult process, especially for a 19-year-old. And so that was one of the biggest lessons I'd learned right from the get-go.
Did you find that being 19 and in the entrepreneurial world, there were any people that kind of looked at you as maybe not having fill in the blanks? Oh,
of course, yeah. Cynthia, people look at me that way even right now, especially when they don't know me, and it's kind of fun in a weird way, right? But that's all part of the game. And to not do that would simply not be entrepreneurship, or to not have that would simply not be entrepreneurship, rather. It's absolutely key to ensure that at that point, especially at that early stage, you get used to people telling you that you're not going to make it. You get used to people putting you down. You get used to people telling you that what your dreams are simply will not materialize, because that's just what is going to happen the rest of the journey. Get used to it, suck it up, and move forward. That's it.
Get used to it, suck it up, and move forward. Now, these are some powerful statements. You definitely have this motivation, this fire inside of you. Was there anybody whose advice or role modelship that you had that helped you to spring into the man you are today?
Well, Cynthia, I'd have to say that the biggest piece of advice that I could give anybody that wants to get into the entrepreneurial world would be not to just have one mentor or rely on one perspective of things, but rather hear everybody out, right? It's such a blessing to have had people that did put me down, because I realized what it was that people that did not understand this entire realm of my investment career or real estate or what have you. Getting that perspective at the end of the day is going to really catapult your career to another level, because you'll be able to think about those little intricacies that otherwise you might not have thought of when you're just in that tunnel vision, going on that one path, ready to make your move. And so it's key to listen to everybody, both the yay-sayers and the naysayers, right? So, yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. Listen to both. Listen to everyone, because everyone has something to offer. And I think that this is really what this channel is all about, is recognizing that we all have a voice, we all have a purpose, and we all have our path. And that people may not always understand you, but you shouldn't let that limit you. In fact, if anything, you recognize it's not about them, it's about you.
Oh, absolutely.
And having
Absolutely.
that motivation. Now, at the age of 20, you got your first taste of big money. Can you
Yep.
tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's when I actually got into real estate for the first time, and it was very, very interesting, really fun, no question about it. It was also a time where I had realized how big of an ego I really had. Not to mention, there's a lot of people. There are a lot of people that say money does not change you, and it only magnifies who you really are. But one thing I did, in fact, learn for sure was, in order to be able to earn what I did earn and build the empire that I did at that age, I did have to change who I was. I had to become, and I hate to say it, but I did become a lot more aggressive. In fact, overly aggressive. I started losing respect for people that I felt were below me, which now it's stupid to even think, right? And so these sorts of life lessons were an absolute blessing for me to have at that point, because it would be absolutely horrific for me to experience that right now, or be going about my practice in that same manner that I used to just a few years ago. And so making sure that individuals go through that process when they're on their path to entrepreneurship is key. So what I like to always tell people is embrace the journey. Make sure that you embrace every single fault, every single mishap, every single failure, basically, that you experience, because it will build that foundation for you going forward. No question.
That's really fair. It reminds me of a quote that I read where it talks about when you're learning to walk. And so when you're learning to walk, you'll stand up, you'll take a few steps, and you'll fall back down. Now, when that happens, you don't just toss in all your cards and say, that's it, I'm not going to bother walking anymore. No, you continue on the journey. And that's exactly what you're talking about, is that, you know, recognizing that failure is part of the journey, but you can get back up and you can walk and you can persevere. You can overcome that adversity. And like photography, you can develop from the negatives.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I like that you brought up that quote, actually, Cynthia, because the discrepancy that it reminds me of is our parents never gave up on us when we couldn't walk, right? They always were there for us. They always told us to keep on going, clapped us out the whole way through. And really and truly, when people do not get that same support from their parents, initially at least, it is tough. I mean, I remember how tough it was when the first time I told my parents, oh yeah, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to be a CEO. I mean, if I was in their shoes, I would have also told them, or I would have also told myself, yeah, of course you are, right? Like, you can't expect them to, especially if they've not gone through it themselves. And so it's just another step that you have to go over, right? And so a lot of times, it's crucial for people to realize that you will not have that support that you had when you were starting off to walk. And maybe that's just for the better. Maybe that's what's necessary to help you build and grow and develop. And now today, absolutely, I'm so glad that my parents actually do support what it is that I do. Actually, just recently, a couple of weeks ago, my father had come to my office for the very first time, and I loved just talking to him about it and telling him about my team and just showing him the rooms, and it was amazing, right? And he was just laughing, and we had an amazing time. And so that time will come. For most people, of course, there are certain circumstances where it won't, but just be patient with it and enjoy the journey. Enjoy the fact that people don't support you in a certain moment, because eventually it's bound to come around.
And I think that that's a really fair point. One of the things I've noticed in this disability channel is that a lot of people that I've had the pleasure of talking to, and even from some of the other segments that I haven't had the chance, there are people that have been met with lack of support, where people have just completely poo-pooed them and shut them down and, you know, basically decimated their existence. But there was a part of them that never gave up. And that's what it takes. It's that persistence, that's perseverance, no matter what, no fail. I am going to continue and continue and continue until people are either going to love you and embrace you and be inspired, or run away. And you know what? The people that stand by you, like your father that comes back and says, wow, son, I'm so proud. These are the moments that really help to elevate you and make you realize that this was so worth it, you know, not just for me, but for everyone around me.
No question, and I'm so glad that you actually brought that up, Cynthia, because it sucks to see people looking down upon persons with disabilities, especially when really, it's not a disability that they have. It's more so a gift, if anything. And when people can realize that that gift, especially on the disability channel, how many individuals have y'all interviewed, right?
Yes.
With these gifts that can really catapult them to an entirely different level. When you can recognize the way in which those gifts can be utilized, it is an absolute blessing to see what can be made out of them and what it is that can be done to propel them in a different career or a different trajectory than what the government may plan for or what their parents might have had in mind. And that's absolutely critical. And so it's important for you, for Jay, and the rest of the team to realize that what TDC is doing is crucial to the empowerment of persons with disabilities. No question about it. And so I'm glad that y'all have asked me to be on the show.
And we're so glad to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And it's amazing because what you're doing as well is empowering them. And I want to touch on that because you have actually been instrumental in being able to help so many lives. But I want to narrow in on the focus of the veterans. And this is something, a group that you have been so instrumental in helping. So tell us a bit about that.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So I love the veterans. I love our military vets that have fought for our country. And in fact, any country around the world for that matter, if you fight for your country, if you're patriotic enough to be able to put that armor on you and go out there and serve in the manner in which you do, kudos to you. We could not be more thankful. And it's imperative that when our veterans do come back with injuries, with disabilities, which quite frankly, they chose to do on their own for the betterment of their own home, completely selflessly. There are much better paying jobs out there, right? Let's be real. It's only natural and it's only right that we take care of our vets at home. And although there is support for them, the question really is there enough? I mean, you can't expect that a veteran coming home after having seen what they see overseas is just going to be perfectly fine, as if nothing had ever changed beforehand. It's hard on not just themselves, but it's also hard on their families. So if I can even change just a handful of veterans' lives, and literally take them from wherever it is that they are, no matter how difficult the situation, they've already got the toughness in them. They've already got this grind that nobody can nobody can battle with. Once you've got that training, the mentality is over there. You've got it. You're in the bag.
Yes.
And so if you can just utilize that same strength, both physically and mentally, and put it into some other area, what better way to serve our veterans than to give them the independence which they once had, but voluntarily chose to sacrifice selflessly for the betterment of their nation? What better way than to give them that sort of skill? And that's all it is. They've got the work ethic.
Yes.
They've got the tenacity.
Yes.
They've got the drive. They've got the spirit. They've got everything that they will do whatever it takes to take care of their family, especially if they have already done whatever it took to take care of their country.
Absolutely.
And so there's no question in my mind that our veterans can absolutely strive. They just need a little bit of assistance, just a little bit.
What does that
After that
assistance
hurdle.
look like?
Sorry?
What does that assistance look like?
Well, think about it this way. When a veteran comes home, they had a steady job,
Yes.
they had a steady career path,
Yes.
and then a roadside bomb turned all of that around. Really,
Yeah.
that's what takes place. Now, when one decides to go down such a career path to serve their nation, coming back into some form of assistance will be, and it can really be anything. If a veteran says, you know what, I need to take care of my family, so I need to learn a new skill within real estate investing, why not? Most of my real estate investing, I can tell you right now, has had nothing to do with actually going and viewing a property. Most of it has had to do with calling, emailing, texting, things which we do on a regular basis. Now, in certain cases, that may not be doable, depending on the severity of the issue. Some of our veterans come back, of course, with no limbs, whatever it may be. Some of them don't. Some of them come back with hearing impairments.
True.
And I understand what it is like to have a hearing impairment. I have one. being able to actually utilize that impairment and turn it around into a strength in some way, shape, or form will be absolutely imperative. And so real estate investing is just one example. What if it was investing in another respect? And I'm talking about investing because that's what my life is. That's what my world is, right? I deal with the business world constantly. We've got a number of conglomerates within our holdings company. We've got a number of funds under management in terms of what we do within our hedge fund and so on and so forth. So that's what my specialty really is. But if there is another route, another avenue, maybe it would be outside of business that our veterans would want to pursue, why not be that voice of reason to be able to help them down that path?
Absolutely.
Right?
And that's a very fair point. It's about utilizing their strengths. I like how you said that. And turning an impairment or a perceived impairment into a strength.
Absolutely.
And that's really what it's all about. We all have our shortcomings. We all have obstacles that we're overcoming. And being able to look at those not as deficits, but as those skills, those strengths that give us that cutting edge that we can actually utilize to propel ourselves forward.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
truly remarkable. Now, you have helped so many. How can people reach out to you if they want to be able to be assisted?
Yeah, well, Cynthia, for our viewers over here, if you'd like, you can always visit my website at www.zubinsethna.com. That's www.zubinsethna.com. I think I sound like some 80s radio show host or something.
There you go. That's his next career. Well, speaking of next, actually, what is next for Zubin?
You know what? Good question. On that, for 2018 at least, my focus is going to be on I shouldn't say one thing, but predominantly on this one thing. And I've got a real passion for helping out at-risk youth.
Okay.
Right? So, of course, the veterans are one. At-risk youth are another, and I love them just because, especially that 14 to 17-year-old category, because the attitude that comes with them, plus their criminal backgrounds, plus all what they've experienced, it makes it, let's just say, an entertaining avenue to go through. And so being able to assist our at-risk youth is what my mission is going to be for 2018. And if I could just I'm actually working in partnership with the Revival Rejuvenation Ranch. So I've been sitting on their board now for just under a year. And so being able to actually work with them and assist them in empowering these youth and showing them a better way, aside from the whole violent life that many of them have just been accustomed to, because that's what their backgrounds were, that's what their environment gave them. Being able to help those kids out would be unreal. And so that's what I've got planned for 2018. I've made my money, I've made my business life. I mean, I'm still going to be involved, of course, but the team's there, the team's solid, knows exactly what they're doing, and that's why we systemize our businesses, right?
Absolutely, that is why. You know, I like the fact that you focus on investments, and a lot of things are like investments. Like you put your time, your energy, your work into something, and you want to see that return. And so a lot of these youths are putting in time, energy, their talent, and they're not getting that positive return. So now you're able to utilize those strengths, those skills that may have been geared towards a different world and show them another way. And the beautiful thing is that they can actually see you in themselves. Rather than having some, older adult tell them what to do.
And that's the best part. Some of these kids, and I get so excited about this, they're absolutely brilliant. I mean, can you imagine being able to get away with running a smuggling operation at the age of 14? 14, and go around all these sorts of laws. Yes, you broke the rules. Yes, you broke the laws. Absolutely. But there is some wits. There's some brain power in there that it took. And it didn't just happen out of nowhere.
That's true.
These kids know what they're doing. They've got a gift. And being able to assist them on that will be absolutely amazing.
Turn these powers into good. Now, I like the idea that you keep talking about whatever it takes. And it occurred to me that that is wit.
Oh, yeah.
W-I-T, whatever it takes. There you go. So it's an amazing thing. So you yourself exemplify that. Whatever it takes, you are out there, you're driven to succeed.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, you had 3 bestsellers.
Yep.
Is there any more plans to write?
You know what? Let's give that a break. The reason being is because there was a certain portion of my time that I'd taken, and if you look at the bestsellers in terms of when they came out and whatnot, 2 of them were co-authored, but they were all at around that same period. So what I want to do is I want to go through that next phase of my life, right? The next, say, 5 years, and let's get those next books out. And they'll be bestsellers. I mean,
There you
the
go.
title was all fun at first, but it kind of comes to you afterwards.
Absolutely. You get on that train of thought. Now, the bestsellers that you have right now, if people want to get them, what are the names? What are they about?
Well, my most famous one is A Path to Financial Freedom, which basically just outlines just a way for families, and I like to categorize mostly entrepreneurs, single mothers, and of course our veterans,
Yes.
and showing them a specific way of, or not a specific way, but more a generalized way of getting on that path to financial freedom and what it is that they can start doing right from the get-go. A lot of times people just don't understand how they can in fact achieve that ability.
I'm going to stop you there because I want to know if you have any insights for our viewers right now who may be struggling. What would be some recommendations that you could give them?
Honestly, now I don't know about what it would be like around the rest of the world, but in North America, 90+% of us don't have adequate savings. We're drowning in debt, especially because interest rates have been so low and we've been completely spoilt with that.
Yeah.
So yes, it's been positive in a weird way, but it's also not necessarily given us the habits that we necessarily needed. And so in order for individuals to start up on that path, first things first, clear out your bad habits, right?
Yeah.
You know whether you're good with money or whether you suck with it. And be honest with yourself, and if you're honest with yourself enough, you'll realize, 90% of y'all at least, that, yeah, I'm not the greatest with it. Perfect. First step is recognition. Then write down exactly what it is that you need, not what you want, all right? The Mercedes can wait. The nice house can wait. Just look at what you need. Maybe I just need a room if I'm 21 years of age and not necessarily a bachelor pad. Or if you're just a family, maybe a condo will be good enough for the next 2-3 years and not necessarily a 3-story house. There's certain choices that we all make to impress the individuals that we don't like, which quite frankly is silly, right? And being able to get those tactics underway first before looking at investing and passive income streams, and I can go on and on and on about that, will be
And that's what
absolutely
the
critical.
book is for.
Yeah.
All right. So it sounds like there are 3 R's there: recognition, reduction, and realism. You know, being
I don't know
able
how
to-
you came up with that, but
I don't
sure, I'll
know.
take it. Yeah,
But
that was my
really,
idea.
I mean, that's what it comes down. Yeah, there you go. That was him.
Look
That
at
was
that.
all him. But yes, absolutely. Just you know, recognizing that you have this, and you know, really coming to terms with it, reducing the amount that you would normally spend, and then being realistic with the outcome. And then you can
Absolutely.
reach out to him for the rest. And it is in that book. Now there are 2 other books you wanted to mention as well.
Oh yeah. So the others were co-authored.
Yeah.
So my first was actually, shoot, I can't even remember the name of the first. I know the most recent one was Are You the Missing Piece?
Are You the
And
Missing
that was actually done with a publishing company that I'm really fond of. I actually enjoy the individuals that work there. And I'm trying to think of the name of the first one. That was my first one too, so it's odd that I can't remember.
Hey, it's
But,
all good.
Hey, it's all there.
It's
yeah.
out there.
It's all there.
So they can get it on your website and Amazon.
On my website, no. If you want, I can actually see if my assistant would be willing to put that up. But
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
we'll put that out there. Let us know what you think, the viewers. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, you can. They can definitely look for it. It is co-authored, as you
Yep.
said. Just look up the fabulous author Zubin.
Oh, I remember the name of it. My Creative Thoughts.
There you
That's what
go.
it was.
Isn't that interesting? Yes, because
There we
our
go.
your thoughts are very creative. All right, there we
And
are.
not that I came up with the title, but hey.
Hey, it's all good. So we have those wonderful books. If you want to hear more wisdom and insight from Zubin, you also have his contact information. Now, I'm just really excited to hear. We've heard about how you came to be where you are and where you are right now and where you're looking to go. It is just a truly beautiful thing. Definitely, you know, if you are a veteran, if you are somebody that is at risk or you know somebody that's at risk, you know, these are hot buttons for Zubin, and he is absolutely a vessel of information, as you can see. Zubin, it has been such a delight to have you here.
Thanks a lot, Cynthia. I appreciate
A
it.
pleasure. Now, are there any parting words of wisdom that you would like to share with our viewers?
Sure, I guess we talked about the whole hard work
Yeah.
side of things.
But the turning point for you, I think, is where it comes from. When you lost everything and when you,
Oh, yeah.
when you set that intent, what would you like to share with us?
Just be patient with your successes, folks.
Yeah.
That's it. Be patient with your successes. It'll take time. It ain't going to be easy. It's going to suck most of the time. But just be patient with the successes.
Absolutely. If the world didn't suck, we'd all fall off. That's what they say. But yes, absolutely.
Where do you come up with these sayings, eh?
Well, you know, what can I say? Well, there you go, folks. We hope you enjoyed today's session with our fabulous Zubin. And thank you for watching. We'll be right back.